American culture relies on a specific narrative of extreme poverty, the idea that ending up on the street requires a long, slow decline. We imagine a path of untreated psychiatric collapse or years of severe addiction, a catastrophic personal failure that eventually leads to the concrete. These official metrics seem to support an image of a manageable crisis. The point-in-time count registered roughly 28,000 people experiencing homelessness in Texas, which politicians applaud. But that count is a dangerous illusion, relying entirely on physical visibility during a single night. An individual hiding in a rented storage unit or sleeping in a car parked in a dark lot remains entirely invisible to these volunteers, leaving them off the official record. Today, the gap between middle-class stability and the street has shrunk to a single mathematical breaking point. Rent jumps $400, and a family is suddenly packing their lives into the trunk of a Honda Civic on a Tuesday morning. These families are being mathematically priced out of the American promise, despite working the mandatory overtime and playing by every established economic rule. The modern housing market has simply narrowed the margin for error until there is no buffer left. This visualization compares the official snapshot to the Texas Homeless Data Sharing Network, which tracks actual human beings moving through the system. The reality shatters the official narrative. In a single year, that network tracked over 61,000 unique individuals relying on homelessness services. Looking at detailed intake data from the Houston region, we can see the specific drivers of this crisis. Severe substance use, often cited as the primary cause, accounts for less than 10% of local homelessness. The remaining data is unforgiving. 50% of all homelessness in the area is driven entirely by a sudden financial shock, such as a medical emergency or a corporate layoff. In recent counts, 40% of the unsheltered population were experiencing homelessness for the very first time. The system is processing a relentless, revolving door of economic casualties. Real people fall into the abyss, claw their way out, and are immediately replaced by someone new the very next morning, keeping visible numbers artificially low while the structural crisis multiplies. This displacement targets historical vulnerabilities. In Austin, a $1 trillion tech boom is driving aggressive gentrification. As affordable neighborhoods are flattened for luxury high-rises, long-time working-class residents are pushed to the margins. This historical zoning map shows the areas where minority communities were structurally denied access to generational wealth building. Today, those same red-lined neighborhoods are targets for redevelopment. The result is striking. A Black Austinite is 6 times more likely to experience homelessness than a white Austinite. The veteran paradox proves the failure is macroeconomic. Despite massive public funding and dedicated federal vouchers, nearly 2,000 veterans are still counted on the streets of Texas on any given night. The physical infrastructure to help them exists, but the intake matches the outflow. As fast as outreach teams navigate one veteran into housing, the crushing weight of the broader housing market pushes a newly displaced veteran out the door and onto the pavement. When even the most heavily funded, universally supported demographic cannot escape the gravity of skyrocketing rent, charity alone cannot fix the problem. The modern housing market is simply consuming veterans faster than existing safety nets can catch them. Beyond federal housing definitions lies a hidden population. The Department of Education tracks invisible students, those surviving in motels, cars, or doubled up on couches because their families have been ejected from the housing market. In the Houston area alone, over 27,000 students are currently experiencing this level of instability. This photographic view of a weekly rate motel represents the daily reality for thousands of children trying to get dressed for school without waking the other families sharing their limited floor space. The neurobiological impact of this instability is devastating. Chronic toxic stress and the constant flood of cortisol chemically alter brain development, limiting cognitive function and depressing high school graduation rates for these students. By displacing families today, the housing market is conditioning a generation to become the next wave of chronically unhoused adults. These invisible, doubled-up youth are being physically and cognitively shaped by an environment of extreme poverty. Texas is currently seeing an unprecedented wave of domestic migration. Hundreds of thousands of highly paid workers are relocating from coastal cities,
flooding directly into the state and creating fierce competition for limited housing supply. This new demand causes rents to skyrocket in nearly every major metropolitan area. For working-class citizens with stagnant wages, the cost of a basic studio apartment, like the one pictured here, is moving rapidly beyond their reach. If the affordable housing supply does not radically intercept this demand, the rate of first-time homelessness will begin to compound exponentially. Texas is currently on a trajectory toward a massive, statewide escalation of extreme poverty. The housing system is currently functioning exactly as it is designed. It is extracting maximum capital from the working class until there is simply no economic margin of error left to give.